What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 38 of our Liverpool FC playthrough here in FM16. Hopefully you guys are good. Today we are taking on Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, in the Champions League quarter-finals. In this episode we will be doing both the first and second leg. Next episode we're going to be shifting our attention back to the Premier League, where we'll be taking on Tottenham. But today we're focusing on Europe, and, well, we have some aspirations, I guess, now. I talked about in last episode how this tournament wasn't the be-all or end-all, but I kind of feel like once you reach kind of the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, that's when you kind of have to start taking it seriously. Today's game against PSG is not going to be an easy one. They have got a very, very strong team in this save. You can see they got Pogba on transfer deadline day this January, so I believe he's going to be cup-tied, so that's something. I don't think we're going to have to deal with Pogba, but, you know, PSG, they have a very strong team. They are a very, very strong side. You can see their team here. Interesting to see a few players not registered that you might expect to see registered for the Champions League. I guess that might be down to the the homegrown players rules. Cataldi, of course, our former player, won't be playing because he is cup-tied. How's he been getting on? He's been doing terribly. That's a £40 million good sale in my eyes. 6.6 average rating in 5 games. Not ideal for Danilo. Anyway, today we are going to focus, of course, on Europe. Just one game to tell you guys about before we get into the first leg, and that was a 4-0 win against Huddersfield. Fantastic performance. Daniel Sturridge with a hat-trick, Zuma with one. We dominate the game from start to finish, and in the league, we are going very, very strong at the top of the table. This lead over Arsenal is still 3 points. There is 7 games left of the year, and it's starting to get towards crunch time. Anyway, as I mentioned, we are going to be playing PSG. Looking at our side here, no injuries to tell you guys about. Pretty much a full-strength team. Sacco, I'm going to play him. His condition isn't the best. He's probably going to have to go off halfway through the game. But unfortunately, coming back from injury, he's just not quite 100% match fit for this game. He should be good for the second leg, assuming we don't aggravate any kind of injury. The other player who, of course, has been out for a while is Mario Götze. He's a little bit less battle ready. He's not quite as essential, at least in my opinion. I kind of feel like with backups in the form of Coutinho and Yuri Tielemans, we're better suited to kind of fill in the gap that Götze leaves, as opposed to with Sacco, where really our next best centre-back is probably playing Bazor there and then playing Meyer at centre-back, which probably isn't really ideal going into such a massive game. So we'll see how we get on here. We're going to kick off this first leg. Of course, we will have the second leg too. There is one game between this game and the next game, and that is against Manchester United. I'm not going to be live coming that one because, as I mentioned, this is like a European game, I guess. So we'll see how we get on. Pogba not being present is nice. Looking at how they're going to set up, they are playing a 4-1-3-1-1. I guess we'll go with that. An interesting formation. I've not come across this one yet this year. It will be interesting to see how it matches up against ours. Our former man, Origi, as well, on the bench for PSG. Hopefully he doesn't score against us today. But anyway, I'm going to tell the players, what do I want to tell them? I'm going to tell them to relax and play their natural game, and the result will come. We are at home for this first leg, so defensively I'm looking for a really good solid performance. Don't want to give away too many away goals. It is going to be a tricky game though. PSG, a very, very strong side. They've got some good players on the bench, but we'll see what we can do. In Europe so far this year, we've done pretty well, of course. In the last kind of round, I guess, against Dortmund, we kind of annihilated them, really. And if you think back to the group stage, we also beat Barcelona twice. So we've put in some really good performances in Europe this year, but slightly different situation here. A lot more riding on, I guess, this game and the next against PSG. They are only playing with one up front, so I'm hoping that we can keep things relatively tight at the back. And we have a chance here, actually. Henderson over to Sacco. Sacco, of course, probably not going to see out the game. Fred, taking the place of Moreno, puts in the ball. Can he put the ball in at the second time of asking? He can. And that is Lacazette with a header. The Frenchman scoring against a French club. And you'll notice that Fred is playing left back and not Moreno. The reason he's playing left back is because, simply put, he's been putting in some fantastic performances since he joined the club in January. Moreno's not looked too great in the last few games that I have played him in. Of course, he did have that injury where he twisted his ankle and was out for just shy of a month. And since then, he really hasn't come into form whilst, well, Fred, simply put, has been looking superb for us at left back. So we're going to continue playing him today. Rewarded that faith with an assist. 30 minutes in, looking at the stats, we look pretty darn good. It's fair to say we're looking nice. PSG not having too many opportunities, of course, with the kind of quality they have. They have kind of the opportunity and a real chance to score, you know, if we make a mistake, if they have one good chance. So we can't really afford to switch off. But yeah, we're looking pretty solid here. Possession's been 50-50, but we're doing a little bit more with us. Looking at Sacco's condition, it's dropping down to below 70. I'm probably going to have to sub him off by about the 55th minute. I'm going to tell the players I'm happy with that performance though. A 1-0 lead at half-time is nothing to be scoffed at against PSG. Keeping it tight at the back, which is important. A win of any kind really against PSG in this first leg would be great. Of course, the second leg being away from home might be a little bit trickier. Of course, we don't have the fans behind us. We don't have that home advantage. And I guess there'll be a little bit more pressure on us going into that game. But we'll see how we get on. PSG with the ball here. 54 minutes in. Sacco probably going to have to come off sooner rather than later. But good pressure there by Henderson. Wins the ball. Daniel Sturridge with a goal. And that was just a really, really nice press by our team. I think it was Henderson cut out the pass. Really punished PSG there. Mbula caught flat-footed. Ball finds its way to Sturridge. Played onside by Thiago Silva. And he buries it to make it 2-0. And I am now going to take Sacco off. Hit below 70 condition. That's kind of my cut-off point for me. So we're going to move Bazor to centre-back. And then we're going to move Thiago Maia into the kind of centre defensive mid role for us. So a little bit of a shape... well, not shape change, but a bit of a shake-up, I guess, in terms of where players are playing. Hopefully we can just adapt to that. Hopefully Bazor can settle into a slightly more defensive role. Of course, playing that kind of centre mid-defend role for us for the first kind of 60-odd minutes. Now dropping into the back four to play alongside Kurt Zouma. But at the moment, 2-0 up, just 20 minutes left. I have options to maybe make another sub. Bazor's condition is dropping a little bit as well. I don't really want to have to take him off, because the only other centre-back we have on the bench is Joe Gomez, who himself isn't in too great a form. However, I think I'm going to have to bring on Gomez here. I want to get some fresh legs on. Bazor's not had the best game either. You look at the rest of our defence, they've really been standout. Perhaps punished slightly by playing in the midfield. We'll hold on to our last sub as well for now, because with 18 minutes left, the last thing we want is an injury, and to kind of put ourselves down to 10 men with... kind of not having a sub to spare. But need to defend here. Origi, the former man, denied by his national team partner in Mignolet. A great save there. Denying the goal scoring opportunity and showing just why we sold him. Also worth noting that they have brought Ibrahimovic on. So definitely a change of shape here by PSG. For the last bit of this game, I'm actually going to switch, I think, to counter. Just to, you know, sit behind the ball a little bit. Maybe look to hit PSG on the break. They're probably going to be chasing an away goal here. And given the fact we're 2-0 up, we don't necessarily need to commit quite so many men going forward. Looking at the stats, it's been, again, fairly 50-50 possession throughout. The shots definitely in our favour. And we've taken the chances that came our way, and we've punished that one mistake that PSG made in the second half with a goal. As we clear that away, that is going to be full time here at Anfield. A great win in the first leg, 2-0, a clean sheet. And, well, we put ourselves in a very, very winnable situation here going into the next semi-final. So anyway, as I mentioned, guys, I'm going to just skip straight forward to that second leg. We're not going to do any messing around here. There's going to be one game in between, which I'll kind of review in just a second. And yeah, we're going to, I guess, keep our focus here on the Champions League quarter-final stage. Okay, guys, so we are back. It's the second leg, of course, against PSG. Just that one game, as I mentioned, to tell you guys about against Manchester United. A 2-1 win. A good result. Pretty convincing in the end. Towards the end, we had maybe a little bit of a scare. As you can see, United got a goal in the 80th minute, but we held out, held firm for a vital away win. Unfortunately, however, the result was kind of overshadowed by the fact that Lacazette got an injury. He's damaged his foot, and he's out for 9 to 11 days. So we are without him for today's game, but also the game against Tottenham coming up, which is going to be potentially a title-deciding game. But anyway, we are taking on PSG. Of course, we have that 2-0 lead after the first leg. It's going to be a hard game today. It looks like PSG are going to set up a little bit more attacking. Of course, as I mentioned, Lacazette out injured. Fitness and condition is becoming maybe a little bit of a concern for me. It could be certainly better, I think, than it is at the moment. But, you know, we still have a pretty good team at our disposal. I'm going to stick with Fred at left back over Moreno. Fred here, he's done well, he's done very well. 7.66 average rating in his last 5 games. If we compare that to Moreno, who's averaged a 6.62, it's kind of a no-brainer to pick the player in form. And of course, he did get an assist last game for us. So in terms of how we're going to set up, I think this is how I'm going to set up. I'm just kind of having a last-minute fiddle around. This is kind of what I see as the best positions for each of these players. There's a few who you could arguably switch around. So for me, I like having Bazor as the defensive midfielder, Henderson as box-to-box, and Tielemans as the roaming playmaker. I've seen times with Tielemans will get put as the box-to-box. You may have just seen me rearranging it there. I think my assistant and my opinions kind of differ, I guess. However, I'm going to change things just a little bit. I'm going to bring Coutinho into the roaming playmaker role for today's game, actually, over Tielemans. Tielemans been in some pretty decent form, but Coutinho, a player who, I don't know, I rate him. He's got some pretty decent condition, and I quite like Tielemans as kind of an impact player off the bench. Looking at the general kind of team fitness, you can see no one's condition is absolutely superb, but we'll deal with that as best we can. It's not like we have players below 90. The only real player to keep an eye out on is going to be Goetze, because he's only got 80% match condition, so he will likely be a player who we have to sub off at some point during today's game. But anyway, we are away from home here against PSG. Of course, we won the first leg 2-0. Didn't concede any away goals. And I'm hoping that we can, seal the deal in this second leg, that we can, I guess, maintain the good form that we've been in, and we've been in absolutely fantastic form, defend well, and, really just kind of capitalise on any mistakes PSG kind of make, and, well, win this game fairly comfortably. But, of course, football's not like that. I do not anticipate this to be an easy game by any means, and actually PSG with a set piece here, headed away by Sacco. Now can we counter Firmino to Daniel Sturridge, who's been in absolutely superb form, but Mayfield just that little bit lost without his partner, I guess, in Lacazette alongside him, but he's capable of finishing any chances that come his way, although looks like PSG can have an early chance here. Switching the ball well, Moura, Lucas with the goal there, and he makes it 1-0, and I'm actually contemplating making a change already. And the change I'm thinking about making is one because of, well, the fact that PSG are playing with wide men. And I think I'm actually going to do it. Some people might think we're a little bit crazy for making this change this soon. But I'm going to switch to our 4-2-3-1 on standard and structured. I want us just to be a little bit more conservative. I need some defence in the wider areas. We used this system, of course, against Arsenal a few games ago now. Well, it was a good few games ago now, and we performed fairly well and were able to kind of counteract wide attacking threats by Arsenal in that game. Looking at the stats though, it hasn't done much good for us here. PSG on the attack, whip it in, cleared away. Pereira there, Mignolet, what a save, my son, keeping us in this game. PSG all over us right now. This is not good at all. I might even change our system just a little bit more. I don't want to go too defensive, but at the same time, I think there comes a point where we have to, just be a little bit mindful, I guess, of where we are and how we play. So this is how we're going to line up, I think. We're going to play with Coutinho just off Sturridge. A real change of shape here, but I have used a system not too dissimilar to this in the past. We're going to play on counter. Firmino and Goetze, for me, are going to be quite key players here. They're going to be important out in the wide areas. Of course, we traditionally play a very narrow style, but we are blessed with the fact that with players like Goetze and Firmino, who perhaps aren't your kind of stereotypical wingers, they're capable of playing out in the wide areas and, providing us with some coverage out there. And we're going to try and use that here. But looking at the stats, PSG really going at us now. PSG, not a team to be scoffed at, not a team to be underestimated. Last game out, I was kind of surprised how conservatively they played, with only having one striker. Today, they've really changed their system. They're going a lot more attacking in the midfield department, certainly, and we're going to have to defend well as a result, although that is a great tackle by Henderson. Now can we break? Daniel Sturridge running up, options in the middle. Can he find a good ball? He can. Firmino, Coutinho, with a real chance there, and that was a big breakaway. We are, of course, playing on counter. We might not have that many opportunities. That was a massive one, and it's one that Coutinho hasn't taken. And now we need to defend. A long throw in by PSG into the box, and we need to deal with this ball here. Verratti, edge of the area. Kurt Zouma not dealing with it. He gives away a penalty. And it's going to be David Luiz to step up here to make it 2-2 on the night and make it all even. And wow, this is not the start in the first half that we wanted against PSG. They have been rampant so far this game. Unfortunately for us, Mignolet incapable of making the save. The ball placed into the top right-hand corner by the centre-back. Perhaps an unusual player to be taking the penalty, but he made no mistake there. And it's 2-0. And Kurt Zouma's having a bad game, and he does not often have a bad game. But in this big game, we've not been good enough. I'm going to tell the players I'm far from pleased with what I've just seen. Looking at the game, we've had the ball, we've just not created a lot with it. Just thinking about how I want to change things here. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to try, and we'll see how this works. Never tried it before. I'm going to try having Goethe and Firmino as wide playmakers, and then we're going to change Coutinho to an attacking midfielder. And I'm also going to tell the players kind of to exploit the wider areas where possible. But we are going to play more direct here. But, you know, we're going to try and just tighten up, I guess, at the back, defend well, and we'll kind of work from there. Bazor's had not a great game. He's also been booked. I don't really want to risk it, if I'm honest. So I think what I'm going to do is at half-time, or I guess 1 minute after half-time, I'm going to bring in Thiago Maia into that defensive midfield position for us. We'll see how we get on here. I feel like we need to mix things up. I'm really trying to mirror, I guess, PSG shape in a lot of ways. They're playing like the 4-3-3 really, with a defensive mid and then 2 centre mids and then 2 kind of inside forward / wide men. So we're trying to use a system that's going to, you know, basically allow us to match them man for man there. Because I feel like when we play our narrower system, it's something that kind of leaves us a little bit exposed out wide. So we're going to make these changes. Looking at it though, PSG very, very dominant at the moment. Of course, it's worth noting that at the moment the game would go to extra time if it stays like this. And 1 goal for us would mean PSG need 2 goals because of the away goals rule. So we're not out of this game by any means, and we do need to stay switched on here. I'm actually going to switch to more defensive. I want us just to sit a little bit more and kind of take things from there. But looking at it, we have got our backs to the wall, and, well, we've probably got to make a change. I don't want to keep changing the tactical system. Who do we have to bring on off the bench? Who is going to be the impact player for us? I kind of only want to make 1 change here. I think the change I'm going to make... What is the change I'm going to make? I'm going to bring Goetze into a more attacking position, I think. Oh, mind you, Goetze is absolutely knackered. Goetze has probably got to be the man to give away here. Thinking. I'll tell you what, we're going to do something a little bit wacky, a little bit weird. We're going to go asymmetric, and we're going to bring on Embolo to play out on the right wing as an inside forward on attack. And we're just going to see what we can do here. We've got to kind of change the system. We've got to try something a little bit wacky and a little bit different, I think, if we want to get into this game. Really, we're going to be looking to hit PSG on the break where possible. I'm going to tell the players to clear the balls to the flanks as well and exploit the right where possible, where Embolo is. But yeah, we've got to change things. So we're going to go a little bit wider. We're playing asymmetric. We're going to just try and hit PSG on the break here. Looking at it, they are throwing a lot of men forward. They're getting a lot of shots away. And we just need to try and strike lucky, I think, at this point. I don't think we stand much of a chance of outplaying them at home. If we can frustrate them to a draw and defend well, fan-bloody-tastic. But with 8 minutes left, we're being absolutely slaughtered out there. We are just going to defend for our lives, and it looks like it could be going to extra time unless there's going to be a late sting in the tail here. Henderson, please don't get sent off for a silly foul. We need to defend this set piece. I'm paranoid of the guy in the near post. Headed away, Embolo there. Just get rid of it. Do not piss around with it in the box. Coutinho, now can we break? No, we can't. I thought Sturridge was going to get a big ball over the top to run onto, but it's not going to happen. Cavani, Lucas scores for PSG to make it 3-0 in the 90th minute. Looked like it might have been offside, but it's not been given. Our players are absolutely hounding the official. And I think we've missed Lacazette for this game. We tried to change the system. We tried to adapt, with the big problem here was just that PSG had that little bit more quality, particularly in front of goal. I mean, if you can't score, you're not going to win. Unless there's a chance here, maybe. It's going to be cleared away. That's going to be it. There's no chance here. 10 seconds left. Our Champions League aspirations for another season go down the drain after such a great performance in the first leg. In this second leg, we've just kind of capitulated. I do feel like I need to come up with a system that I know works against teams that like to play wider. In this game, we just didn't have that option, and we just didn't seem to ever have a handle in this game. PSG came out from the off, and, well, that early goal put them in good stead. We gave away a penalty. We were really responsible, I guess, for our own demise in a lot of ways. However, to lose 3-0 is still pretty disappointing after such a great first leg there. But anyway, that is going to wrap up this episode, guys. I guess with the Champions League dream gone, dead and buried, it's going to be a shift of focus now to the Premier League. We have a chance to win the league. We have a really good chance, really. With 6 games left, we're top of the league with better goal difference than all the teams around us. We've got Tottenham left to play. And with the exception of Tottenham, it's a fairly easy running. We have Fulham in 15th. We have Everton in 12th. Watford in 6th. I guess that's probably the second hardest game. But then we have West Ham and Crystal Palace. They are winnable games, all of them. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next episode. It will be against Tottenham. Hopefully we can bounce back from this result. As always, if you have enjoyed the video, please do smash the like button, guys. It does help me out. And other than that, it is me, Jack. And I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.